I was covering a UK game. I was covering a Kentucky game. Drove to Lexington with our photographer and was covering the game. And I believe Kentucky it was on national television because I don't think Ashley Judd showed up to any games that weren't on national television, because the camera always found her. I'm sure she was at plenty of games that weren't nationally televised, but any nationally televised game that she was at, the camera was going to find her. Particularly, during that time period of the late '90s, going into the 2000s, she was at a lot of the big Kentucky games. And this particular game, I believe it was Florida. I may be wrong, but I believe at the time they were playing Florida, which was being coached by Billy Donovan, who's now the Chicago Bulls head coach. He won a couple of championships at Florida in 06 and 07, back-to-back titles with Florida. But this was a little bit before they had gotten to national championship level. But they were still really good. And, Billy had really built a great program there. So they had become a big time rival, for Kentucky back then. And this was the year I think Kentucky had guys like Tayshaun Prince and Chuck Hayes and some of those guys. I think Rajon Rondo may have played on that team as well. But they had played Florida. They had beaten Florida. They had won. Ashley Judd was there. The game's over with. I'm doing my interviews, in the locker room, talking with some of the players. And with Hopkinsville, I didn't have to file my story immediately because it was an afternoon paper. So I could go the rest of the night and then write my story in the morning because, like I said, it was an afternoon paper. So we put the paper out in the morning instead of the day before. So I finished my interviews and we were leaving Rupp Arena and walking on Rupp Arena's floor. And I think the TV station in Lexington was interviewing Ashley after the game. And it was a cold night. And anybody who knows me knows that a lot of my wardrobe consists of University of Louisville, like sweatshirts and T-shirts and the knit caps on your head. And like I said, it was wintertime. It was cold. This is like maybe January sometime when, conference play is going on. And I forgot as I was walking out of Rupp Arena or walking, across the Rupp floor after the game was over with, I had my Louisville knit hat on and it had a big cardinal on the front of it, big, huge cardinal. Now, obviously, people know, especially if you're from Kentucky and Louisville, they do not like each other. The fan bases hate each other. There's respect there, but there's no love there. I should say that. So I'm walking across the court. The camera, the television camera that was there was facing Ashley. So Ashley was actually facing us as we're walking behind the camera. Because we didn't want to, walk behind Ashley and get in their shot. So we were walking behind the camera. And of course, I had the knit hat on, had the big Louisville Cardinal bird on there. And Ashley stopped the interview, looked around the camera and said, hey. And me and my photographer turned around and she said, you can't wear that hat in here. Now, I have to preface this by saying, Louisville had beaten Kentucky. That particular, they always play early in the season, right? Usually around late December. Louisville had beaten Kentucky that particular year. And, but Kentucky had a great team. They were on a roll at the time. They beat Florida. It was nationally televised. It was a great game. Ashley was there. But she saw me with that Louisville hat on. And she said, hey, you can't wear that hat in this building. So I just turned around and I can't remember the score now, but I blurted out the score of the Louisville Kentucky game to her. as I walked away, I kind of said the score. I yelled out the score to her and turned and walked away. And I could hear her kind of laughing, like, yeah, okay, okay, just wait, just wait. That was the last time I saw her in person. I saw her quite a bit over the years that I covered Kentucky, just because she'd be at Kentucky games, which was a lot of fun. She's really sweet and she's nice. And, I've enjoyed her movies over the years, but she is a UK fan and I'm from Louisville. So I'm a Louisville fan. That's probably the only thing that we'll disagree on. But she had said that to me. She kind of stopped that interview and said that to me. And I thought, well, I really like her, but I can't let her get away with that. I know I'm in Rupp Arena and I got the Louisville, knit cap on, and she's sticking up for her school, but I was going to stick up for mine too. So I let her know what that Louisville, Kentucky score was that particular year. And she didn't have anything to say after that. So we just kind of hurried up and walked out of there. But I remember looking at my photographer saying, can you believe Ashley Judd just stopped an interview to point me out and say, hey, don't wear that hat in Rupp Arena. You can't do that. So, yeah, I thought that was, I thought it was strange, but also cool, because I do have a lot of respect for that program. And Ashley Judd's a great, great actress, great person. So, it was just a little funny, little interesting interaction there between me and a big time movie star.
We only hope that in the years that followed, when she had her own children, she spoke to them of the man who dared to walk across the floor of Rupp Arena.
Probably has no recollection of that whatsoever, but I would venture to say that her children have a healthy, good-natured but healthy hatred of Louisville basketball.